remember, you can talk to us. The X handles are at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is, and at Obarus, the hashtag is Citizen Sunday Live. The SMS line is 22422. If you did not catch all of that, it will scroll, and it has been scrolling right on the bottom of your screen. Renowned Kenyan environmentalist and rural development champion, Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, has unveiled his new book, The Green... So you see for yourself. Green for Life. The book, a blend of memoir and professional reflections, chronicles over 3 decades of Kalua's work in conservation, business, and politics. The book highlights his interactions with prominent figures in Kenya and across the world, including Prince Albert of Monaco, who wrote the foreword for the book, while drawing lessons from global philanthropy and sustainable business networks as the founder of the Green Africa Foundation and former chairperson emeritus of the Kenya Water Towers Agency. Kalua says his aim is to show how one life lived with purpose can positively impact many others.
He never came back with the children. So
he has put his passion into more practice, and we all agree that if somebody else was to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for Environment after Wangari Maathai, it will be Dr. Kalua. Having known you from the time when you were just a young boy, seeing you today launching a book is like a father witnessing the graduation of his own son.
there are people who are suffering today because they don't have hope. There are people who imagine that life doesn't have a way to treat them at their best. I wanted my story to walk with them. I want people over my 35 plus years doing business and doing things, I wanted them to be guided so that there can be a difference in their lives. Nobody deserves to go through what I did, and everybody deserves the best.
And we have the man right here in the studio, Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, and he is the chief steward of the Green Africa Group. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and I'm so proud. Thank you about the book. And indeed, I brought 2 copies signed off. One is for Mr. Macharia himself, for the great work. And I've written right there that he is an asset to mankind, and that may God bless him. The second copy is to Coach Waruru. Please give them on behalf of the entire team for the great work that you continue to do in this country. All
right. Let me say thank you on their behalf. I saw another of my bosses at the launch, Linus Kaikai.
Yes, he was.
So I better do a good job with this interview. I will be in trouble.
Yes.
But let me start with this. You talk about how you want this book to be viewed as a manual or a toolkit. What prompted you to sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to pen 56 chapters for 56 years of life?
Interesting. You know, stories have a way to deal with life. Stories can heal. Stories can also warn. Stories can inspire. And therefore, my story is one that I really write from the bottom of my heart, so that it is a warning, it is an inspiration, because if we take life in the best way possible, it needs boldness, it needs direction, it needs one to move from brokenness, the courage that you must have to get into boldness. And therefore the story moves in that direction to inspire many, to be able, and it's the only book that you will find from today in the most unexpected places, because it is not just going to be in the places that are called bookstores and all that. Yes, it will be, but beyond that, it will be found in churches, it will be found in mosques. If you see, one of the people who have led this is a top Tanzanian who has recommended the book to the Muslim community, and many others. It is a book that is supposed to work with people. But to answer your question.
Did you feel that I have now lived enough life to now write a book?
Thank you. Well, this is where, it's very inspiring, because, we keep wondering in Africa, what is our problem? Is it the people, Or is it bad systems? But I have come to realize over time that it is actually good people who are dancing with wrong inspirations, wrong systems, just simply because good people went silent. They never talked about it. And therefore, the book brings out some of these things. What are the things that we must be able to do? But it is a trainer. This is a book that I believe, beyond any reasonable doubt, it will be in top universities, it will be in colleges, training people, a toolkit that I have given of mistakes. Make as many mistakes in life like you can. Enjoy making the mistakes. Pay even if you have to make a mistake, but never repeat one. Every single day of your life, you can make 5 mistakes easily. You just have to be aware. What mistakes am I about to make? Small, big. I was supposed to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm the same person who set the alarm. Come 5 a.m., I am putting the alarm off. Second time, I'm snoozing. Third time, stop. Whatever you wanted to achieve, not achieved. It is the problem solving is at a level that you have never imagined in that book. It's a toolkit that I believe will turn people. There are 5 problems that you must solve every single day, and they are available. There are 5 people that you can respect on a daily basis. The same way God has blessed you, it is the same way that he has blessed others.
Okay.
When we learn to live in harmony, when we learn to respect each other, Kenya will never be the same.
So is that what you call here the green formula? Mistakes, problems, and respect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you talked about mistakes, and I see here the first mistake, chapter 12. The K has a capital K.
Yes.
Why is that?
Interesting. I think I will leave you to read the book to be able to get all this. But I want you to realize mistakes that I have made are very interesting. Actually, I'm not sure who makes who becomes daring to write some of the mistakes that I have made in my life. I have put my life there, everything. I've laid it bare so that my children can wake up and find reality. Because we live in a life where people hide their mistakes, where you don't want to say everything. Everyone sees you successful, they imagine that you just woke up. I heard you say that my father was working in State House.
Yes.
If I didn't put it in my book, anyone listening to you saying about State House, it will remain its State House. But no one understands the story. I cooked in a tin of 2 kg tin with my father. I have skills that nobody has. When you're cooking in one tin, when you have one tin to cook in, you don't cook ugali first before the mboga, because there will be no opportunity to make the sukuma wiki on the same. I have done that when there was too much trouble. I have gone to more than 7 schools in 7 years, every year, and some of the years in one school. I have passed to go to the best schools, and I ended up in a school where my father had a reverend who was a preacher man like he was. I have taken a cow to court, to the market, when I did not have anything, and the cow ran away from me, and I could not reach it until after so much struggle, running on a dry riverbed for more than 2.5 hours, made a decision at age 14. God help me that when I grow up, I'll be kind to people. God help me to be the change that this continent wants to be. Truthfulness, facing life in a bold manner. That is the story that is there. After all that trouble, my father ends up in State House as a gardener. He was calling himself a shamba boy in all state houses and gardens. The same thing that kept moving him one year to another when he was in prison service, he was now in State House doing what he knew best, doing it from the heart. I hear you talking about the church in State House.
Yeah, we'll get there. Wait, let's.
I want to give it all because I don't know you have enough time.
We'll get there.
Thank you.
But first, what was this point at which you were cooking in a tin?
Yes. So my father, after we were moving in 7 years, 7 schools, seven times in the year, at one time he gave up.
So at that time, your father was working
he resigned in prison service.
Yes.
He was a prisons officer, prisons warden. So he thought that it was too much for the movement and that his children were not, and he would not leave us anywhere. If he was transferred to committee prison, he went with all of us. We went to Nakuru prison, he went with all of us. He came to Nairobi West, he came with all of us. He went to Kitui prison, he went with all of us. He came back to Nairobi again, he went with all of us. All these movements, and at one time when he gave up, we were living in a place called Githurai. And at that time, my father was one person who believed that things don't come from home to Nairobi. They are supposed to go the other way around. So we were in Githurai, and we were cooking with firewood and in a small one-bedroomed house. And it is at that time that we were cooking. There was trouble. You could feel poverty. You could actually touch it in the air, feel it. And the hard lessons that I learned, they're in the book.
All right. So how did it be? I mean, how did it come about that, and I'll read just a line from your book. You'll forgive me.
That's okay.
It's, few Kenyans knew that a dedicated State House employee ensured the constant availability of these roses. So a permanent feature, and this is on President Moi's lapel, was a fresh red rose. And few Kenyans knew that a dedicated State House employee ensured the constant availability of these roses. That man was my father.
Yes, indeed.
And you go ahead and say, sometimes, as a result, he would sometimes stroll with my father in the gardens to inspect the landscaping and admire nature's beauty as carved out by my father. How did you move from Githurai, one bedroom? Is it one room you said? Or
yes.
To State House?
Diligence, faith, trusting God for who he is. God never forsakes his people. Even in the midst of all this trouble, my father was faithful. He was always prayerful. At one time, the president goes to the Nairobi show, and he notices there's something that is missing in the stand of Kenya prisons, which was always #1 in terms of flowers. The president would love to do that. And then he walks around, and then he asks Mr. Gerishon Mwiti, who is now passed on, the husband of Dr. Mwiti, Gladys. And then he says, where is the man who used to do this? And the thing went again to Abraham Kiptanui, and he says, because he was working in prisons, the man who used to do flowers here is no longer here. He resigned. He retired. And they had to look for him. Good works. He had to be sought in the middle of the time that I was taking the only cow, my mother's only cow, Katune, to the market. With so much trouble and full of tears, they had to look for the old man because of his diligence. And he was brought. In fact, they were buying him some clothes and shoes on the way coming to State House because he did his good work, he did everything that he needed to do, and God rewarded him. So you should have seen me, and the story is very hilarious in the book, when I come with my box and I am walking from the city center going to State House because my father is now in State House and no longer the person that we used to cook in a tin.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because you say here that it was an interesting dynamic to watch President Moi on TV every night, knowing that he lived just a stone's throw away from us. This was what, at that time in the mid-80s?
It is true. That is true. Inside State House, there are people, Kenyans, who live actually in State House, and they live the same life that we live outside State House, unknown to people. We quickly comment very easily. You imagine that State House is just State House. State House is the place that my father first built a church.
Yes.
In cow dung, inside State House.
And we have gotten to that point. I can see here that you write that how can, your father asked this question, how can the entire State House grounds not even have a single church? My father said to my mother as we ate dinner, ugali, sukuma wiki,
yes,
and beef, one of my favorite meals.
He drove to that question because faith forms foundations. And he wondered, we have hundreds of people here. They have a house. They don't have a church. How are they expected to live? They actually sometimes have no time, especially when they have an active president, that they are out, the drivers are moving out, their children don't even have time to go to state out, to work. They don't have time to go to churches because the nearest is All Saints Cathedral or the Valley Road Seatam Church. The other one is at Bishop Bone, near the main gate of State House, and then maybe about 3 kilometers away. A kilometer away from State House, my friend, when you're working with State House, is like death. It just can't happen. Cooks are cooking every now and then for guests, and they're doing things. And therefore, my father would ask that question, how come there is no church here? And when he tried to ask, he could not get funds to do that. He built the first one with sticks and mud. And people filled the church, built by mud, in a place where people should be thanking God. Because if leaders kneel before God, the nation rises in ways that it can't happen. People filled, and immediately after about a month or so, the church had to be brought down. Yes, because it was a shame to State House. How can State House have a church with mud? It is easier to talk about this. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, immediately my father was transferred. That was the end of his work. And staying in State House, he was moved out to a place called Mihutikot. You'll find that.
And if I can quote you, you say back to now, and now is...
Yes, my father.
Your father. Yeah. His church...
You got to get it right. Now.
Now.
Yes.
His church, I know my aunt is embarrassed wherever she is watching this. His church at State House grounds soon hit turbulence. The winds of bureaucracy and public image soon blew down the building. State House luminaries questioned why a mud wall structure was on the revered grounds. And you say, as a result, the temporary chapel was demolished. And just like that, this is the bit that really gripped me. In less than 30 minutes, a church... No, wait. The part where you talk about falling down like a mango.
Yes.
Where your life changed with this event.
Yes. And it
again.
Is true. Yes. So we move out of State House. We are out there because power is as it is, and I believe it's something that needs to be prayed for, because the people inside State House, away from our politics. Now we're not talking about politics. It's unfortunate that we tend to politicize everything. We are talking of real people, real human beings, living in that space without a church, and being demonized. I know that the foundation that my father built at that time still stands, and that is why there is a church built of mabati inside State House. As beautiful as it looks from the front, behind is something that Kenyans would not be proud to look at, because there are human beings out there. So we need to humanize this kind of a process. And therefore, things change, but they change for the good, because here I am today with a story that can be read.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I found the bit I was looking for. Consequently, we had to shift from the State House grounds to another government residence at Mihutikot, within the State House vicinity. Yes. I felt like a mango dropping prematurely from its lofty position atop a tree to the cold, hard ground. Yes. That is how you explain that bit of things, but you're very candid in this book, and you talk about your life selling handicrafts. Yes. And traveling to, I think I saw Japan, Spain. Yes. And you say, within a month of returning to Kenya, I had squandered nearly half of the money made in Spain. That's because I was so excited of the money that I began spending as if I was already a millionaire. Yes. I took multiple women out on dates to high-end restaurants. Yes. After the dates, we would often go back to my place or book a room in a fancy hotel, as if I was itching to spend even more money. I also spent many evenings with my boys buying them alcohol and nyamachoma. What inspired you to be so candid in the telling of your story?
Because, as I said earlier on, stories heal, stories inspire, and also stories warn. I want to warn the next generation. Like today, I suffer from diabetes. Diagnosed like 15 or 18 years ago. And the doctor tells me, Isaac, if you did not start drinking the way you have been drinking, because I used to hammer booze in the best way possible. And he says, this, maybe it would have still happened because it is in the family, but it would have happened much later. Today, the youth need to hear this story. They need to get a genuine story where you are laying bare. They lack those kind of stories that are indeed true and experienced in a manner that... So I feel it for them. I want to speak to my children just as I speak to the young people of this nation, so that people can realize the power of story, the possibility and the inspiration from moving from brokenness to boldness. This is what the book intends to bring. There are many crazier things. You haven't seen anything crazier than what...
You introduce us to Susan.
Yes.
Your wife.
Yes.
But you also speak about infidelity.
Yes.
In the book.
Yes.
What was the hardest part of writing this book?
Well, that is because it was quite, I go deep on the family. I go deep on relationships, because we are suffering out of relationship issues in this country. And unless you actually bring out the truth, pen it down, discuss it with the offended or the offender, then is when you can be able to forgive. The things that you see craziest happening in our country, killings, things that people are stealing from each other, not trusting each other, is just because there are many unresolved issues. In Kikamba we say, one of the biggest things, this translates to this: the way a bird sounds when it is not captured is not the same way it sounds when it has been captured. You hear leaders saying, oh, I will do this, I will do that. And I'm not talking about today's leaders, I'm talking generally about leaders. But when they get to power, the story changes. It's never the same. And therefore, the book brings out some of these issues so that it can be a cure. That's why I call it a toolkit. You don't deserve to go through what I went through. We waste a lot of money. We cheat a lot of people. Many people are hurt. When you look at today's life and the way people are affected, you know, the stories of killings is not just about the gun. It's also the people who are killing themselves. And there are also many people who are walking dead. The story talks to those people. In a manner that is truthful, sincere, in a manner that you leave everything for God's glory.
All right, so you're talking about the foreword of your book, written by His Serene Highness Prince Albert II of Monaco. You grew up, you know, at a certain point in your life, you lived in State House. I read that your father even introduced Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes, indeed.
M1.
Yes, it is. Again, I picked this from my father. Kalonzo Musyoka was introduced to President Moi by my father in the garden tendering flowers. Inside State House, there is a place behind right there that is called, or used to be called, the retreat, because I don't know whether it still exists. And it was President Moi's most preferred place to sit and have fun. And he would just have a walk with the gardener and the shamba boy that he was. And it is during one of those times that he introduced the Kalonzo Musyoka. He sat him in his small office near the main block of State House, shamba, for a place that was for superintendent of gardens, state houses and lodges. And they were good buddies, and it is true that he was a truthful man, and he did what he did for God's glory. Thankfully, he was not a politician, so he did it so that he can be a blessing for the community.
All right. And okay, so you say in your introduction to the book that I choose. Let me read it.
Okay.
I will find it. But essentially, you say you were seeking to protect the privacy of some individuals, so you may not have named them in the telling of your story with them and how they impacted your life. But there are names you chose to include in the book.
It's a process. A process of healing goes through several stages. I have named people, not to attack them. I have attacked the issue. I have attacked the problems, the issues that we must deal with. The people I have named, we have since reconciled. including the top in this country. And we have no issue. I love everybody that I speak to about this. And I realize and appreciate that it's not about the individuals. It is about the issues behind. There are decisions that are made, even by the president and others. I wish presidents would wake up and write their books, and that is why I have written the first chapter. Anyone who will read this book will find this is my chapter. I have written it for you. Go ahead and write yours. I wish leaders would write books and say things as they are. I wish people would speak out the truth so that forgiveness can come. So some people, I have mentioned the names because we no longer have an issue. Some people, I have reserved the names because even with my trial to reconcile, they have not been available to do that. And therefore it's a provocation because I know we need to talk about it. You will find a chapter on Konza City. Nobody knows the truth about Konza. The first book, when it was Malili, this is the first book that brings out the truth. The cry of the farmers and the owners of Malili, it's here.
Yes, I have seen.
This is the book that will bring out issues at levels that have never been expected. It's a book that every CEO in this country, every leader, every faith-based institution must take it, even as colleges do that, because it is meant to be as such, so that we can deal with the undealt issues as a country.
Okay. So on President Ruto, you've alluded to it, so let me give it some context. So you write here, this is 2015, the vibration in my pocket alerted me to an incoming call. I was at the Crown Plaza Hotel in a meeting with board members of the Kenya Water Towers Agency. It was about 8 p.m. when I quickly grabbed my phone because I was expecting a critical call from a business associate in the UK. The number on my screen was for Kenya's second most powerful person. Hello, my friend, said the commanding voice on the other end. Deputy President William Ruto asked me about my family before he got to the main reason for his call. I hear you have something that you are chasing with Kebs, he said in a low, serious tone. Yes, my brother, I responded, wondering what he was up to. It's in line with my business. And you write here, quoting, leave that business alone, he told me. Drop it and look for another one. I will support you. Why choose to include certain excerpts and maybe not others?
Simply because, and you miss out a very important issue. Mm-hmm. It is the same president. You remember President driving a yellow car?
I recall.
With him 2 days, 3 days, driving the same car. Just me and him, the two of us, driving to KICC day 1, day 2, day 3. Having all this time and getting into State House to have lunch with 3 or 4 of us. I've met him in his office even just before that, and we have talked about many issues. And one day, he opened his mouth during the national prayer breakfast. Not this one, a much earlier one. If I have wronged anyone, I ask him to forgive me. And if you have wronged me, I have asked you to forgive me. I took that as a personal. It actually hit me. Oh, he asked me to forgive him. And I wrote him a note. Mr. President, I forgive you. And I enumerated the thing as it was. And I came to appreciate, because we have talked about it much later, I came to appreciate the intrigues that were there. And therefore, it's not him that I'm dealing with. I respect him. I respect authority. I have everything to respect him, including my family and children who went to the same school with him. It's not about him. It's about the issues. And the book brings out all those in a manner. I'm sure nobody dares to write these kind of things. But I write it so that people can also respect him, that he can be forgiving, and that also I am human. I could have wronged him or he could have wronged me. And that is what we need as a nation. Not promising, not personal interest, not about everything else, but about dealing with real issues. Real issues are so hard to deal with, so hard. We keep rubbing them and pushing them under the carpet. But the reality is you must hit, and this is where brokenness to boldness starts. You must deal with that issue. many people in this country, many people in the world are not dealing with the real issues. They smile, but the smile is actually a cry. This book brings out the reality of life. And I would do anything that would help this nation to go through. I write on my article every week. I speak to the president. I speak to others. And I get responses when I did not expect, because it is just an article. That was a good one. I have asked the cabinet to deal with it. At times you get and you see the president, and not necessarily President Ruto, you find the president is totally unhappy with you and you don't know what it was, and it's whispered to you, it's that article you wrote last week, or it's that photo of yours that was seen somewhere there. But I'm an ecopreneur, I'm a businessman. A country, real issues, sports in this country should be handled as a business if we want to succeed. I like the boldness that is coming out, not from me, but to the current dealers and leaders, because they are bringing out issues in a way that had never been expected. Others are just saying what they will do, but my friend, you get there and things are different. This book keeps away politics. It is a book that I pray God he gives me an opportunity to take to my friend President Ruto. I want to see every leader reading it, because it will say everything that needs to be known, that helps the heart to heal. Wait till the day those people will write the books.
All right.
You will not believe what happens around. And those are the issues that must be dealt with.
You have clearly lived a full life. From green mistakes, talks about lessons in business. You've talked about sports, and it's included here. What next then?
My mission, and I thank God, and you mentioned people like Prince Albert, they have taught me humility. They have it all, but they still would want, and it's the first book that has been recommended by him in the continent of Africa. Leaders like Chip Ingram, a great minister who is reaching 10 million plus people every single week doing all this. My mission for life is very simple. The Green Africa Villages. This is the solution for the continent of Africa. I see a future that's going to be totally different. As we prepare for COP30, please, I request our leaders, you don't need any other book. It is here. One chapter that gives the African solution, COP30. We cannot move from talk. We have to move from plan to action. Africa cannot continue to be deemed as a victim. It has to be looked at as a solution. The mistakes, problem solving, and also the respect for others is a plan, is a formula that can be applied to change the continent of Africa. We are not just talking about Kenya. There is a lot that needs to be learned. Every leader has their faults. Don't blame them. You also have a problem with your own self. Let us approach things in the best way that will change our lives. Reality is here. Green for life, because this is the future for our continent.
All right, so where can people purchase the book?
Everywhere, because the book has been let out to be found in the funniest of all the places. For as long as you are a hard-working person, I want to see people selling the book and making the 20% to their business for as long as it touches millions of people. Because my vision with our team of Green Africa Foundation, now we are about 1,290 people. I want each one of them to be able to sell. I want churches to stand and sell the book, because we are suffering because of lack of information. This book has got something that every church, every mosque, every temple would be able to carry a lot. So it will be found in churches, but again, it is on Kindle, it is on Amazon. It's got a beautiful, John C.B. Okungu has done the audio, and it's going to be on in the next 1 week or so. And it's online already, and in our offices, all our offices, under offices across the country, more than 100 outlets, we are going to be able to deliver this, and all our other businesses. We have 14 units, and they are going to be able to have this book going out.
So 3,500 until January.
Until January.
And
from that time, January, it goes to 4,500 because globally it is going for $35 and 32 euros. It's now been translated to French. We are going to Spanish and we are going to Japanese, and Chinese will be done by mid next year. We expect to sell 1 million copies in about 9 to 10 months. And this is our prayer. We believe that God will give us what it takes.
All right, thank you very much. We've been joined by Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. Today, I think the title is author, but he's the chief steward of the Green Africa Group. There you are. On that note, we conclude Citizen Sunday Live. Monica, do we have any feedback we could capture? All right, I've been told it's time to go. Thank you for staying with us up to this point. Our sign language interpreter has been Yula Nzale. Good night.
Thank you.